Hey, Marvelous Joe here, guys, and it's Halloween time. And one of my favorite ways to celebrate the spookiest season of the year is by watching scary movies and by reading scary stories. It's so much fun. One of your fellow Dynamic Duel listeners, named CJ Kraft, has written a collection of spooky short stories called 3 Tales, Pages of Terror. He self-published it, and his book is now available on Amazon.com. The stories are quick and creepy. One about a ghost mythbuster who gets more than he bargained for while looking for proof of the paranormal. The second story is an Edgar Allan Poe-esque account of a love story gone wrong. And the third is about a mysterious woman who visits a medieval town with a cart full of miraculous cures. The tales remind me of the scary stories to tell in the dark books we used to read as kids, in that they're short but effective. The book is 21 pages long, and it's only $1.50 to buy on Amazon. So get in your Halloween chills, support a fellow listener, and check out the book by visiting the link in our episode description. Again, click the URL in our show notes to get spooked today. On with the show. Hi, and welcome to the Dynamic Duel Podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Johnny DC. And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
And in this episode, we are reviewing the animated DC film Wonder Woman Bloodlines.
Right, and that's a tie-in to our last episode where we pit Donna Troy, who is Wonder Woman's sister, against She-Hulk.
And that, of course, ties into our 150th episode coming up in November, where we're going to pit the Titans against the X-Men.
Yeah, that'll be a fun episode. I know that last week we said that we would be reviewing the Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans animated film, but at the last minute we decided to punt on that, mainly because we're trying to focus on theatrical releases and the official, DC animated universe films.
Plus, DC released these two films pretty close to each other, so I didn't want to do two animated DC films back to back.
Right, which means that next week we will be doing a special Halloween themed review for that episode. So I think it all works out.
Yeah. Before we get into our review of Wonder Woman Bloodlines, we're going to be breaking down the news items from the past week, which includes my reaction to Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans, just to throw that in there. But we'll be talking about the casting of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman and Paul Dano as the Riddler for the upcoming Batman film. We'll also be talking about how Kevin Feige has been promoted to Chief Creative Officer of Marvel.
Yeah.
And the Venom 2 casting of Naomie Harris as Shriek.
As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so go ahead and check out our show notes to jump to whichever topic you want to listen to. We want to give huge shout-outs to Isiad Ane and JBrock69 for leaving us reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Right, we're at 164 ratings now,
which is a huge jump from last week.
We are only 36 ratings away from 200.
Oh my god, this is like the home stretch.
Can we do it before the end of the year? Only with your help.
You specifically, person who is listening to this right now, go ahead and go on to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and give us a rating. Help us get to 200 ratings before the end of the year, because once we hit 200, our reviews of these Marvel and DC films will be eligible to get counted toward Rotten Tomatoes' official tomato meter.
Thanks so much to everyone who has given us a rating, all 164 of them. It means a huge deal to us. Being Rotten Tomatoes critics is a huge goal of ours, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. But with that out of the way,
quick, to the No Prize.
A No Prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on social media that Jonathan personally draws for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week's question was, of the characters we've seen in the set photos for the Suicide Squad, which character do you think will die first and how?
Yeah, we got a few answers here. All of them are hilarious. Let's go ahead and break them down. Honorable mention goes to Ken Johnson for his answer that Pete Davidson's character will get crushed by a car by King Shark, immediately.
Right when he pops up on screen.
For the first time.
That soon.
Yeah.
Bridge Wiggins of Twitter said that Michael Rooker's character would die first, but he would come back as Solomon Grundy.
That would be cool.
Michael Rooker has like this like mug that's perfect for Solomon Grundy, for like a zombie character.
That's rude. Son of Arumand said that Arm Fall Off Boy would die first by getting his legs chopped off.
Oh no.
The irony.
Adam Spees also gets honorable mention for saying that Pete Davidson's character would get crushed to death by a billboard for an Ariana Grande concert. I guess the two used to date? I don't follow up on that stuff.
Yeah, they used to.
Destin Belcom gets honorable mention for saying that Javelin's neck bomb explodes right after accidentally impaling Arm Fall Off Boy in a panic.
Yeah, he like freaks out and accidentally throws his javelin, killing Arm Fall Off Boy right as his head explodes.
2 for 1.
Jamie Wojcik gets honorable mention for saying that Boomerang or Rick Flag would die first, setting up Harley Quinn as the leader of the team.
But the winner of this week's No Prize goes to Harrison Fox for saying that Arm Fall Off Boy would die first by getting beaten to death with his own arms in what he describes as the ultimate stop hitting yourself scenario.
That would be hilarious.
That has to happen that way. It has to.
That'd be great. Great answer, Harrison Fox. That was a fun question of the week. If you, the listener, want to win your own No Prize, go ahead and stay tuned to later on this episode when we will be asking another question of the week. With that out of the way, on to the news.
Okay, so in the upcoming Batman film that's being directed by Matt Reeves and starring Robert Pattinson, we have our Catwoman cast and our Riddler, who are rumored to be 2 of amongst like 4 or 5 villains that will appear in the film.
Right, yeah, allegedly the story will be based off of The Long Halloween, so there's going to be quite a few villains.
Yeah, it may even be a trilogy. We're not sure yet.
Oh, wow.
That may be filmed all at once. But Zoe Kravitz has landed the role of Catwoman,
which I think is fantastic casting. We've known for a while that they were looking for an actress of color to play the role, and I seriously could not think of a better actress to play Catwoman than Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, I know for a while the rumors were that Tessa Thompson was the front runner for Catwoman.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, no, she's in Marvel.
Yeah.
Stay away.
She's Valkyrie. But, I mean, also Zoe Kravitz was in a Marvel film. She played Angel in X-Men First Class.
Right. I'm not actually too familiar with Zoe Kravitz's work other than X-Men First Class. I know she's been like in an HBO show, Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
And she's been in a number of other things like the Divergent series. Fantastic Beasts. She was also in that one.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, she has cred. She has a pretty good fan base going. It doesn't hurt that she's the daughter of Lenny Kravitz, you know?
Yeah, she's the goddaughter of Jason Momoa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Jason Momoa is married to her mom, Lisa Bonet.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, she's pretty easy on the eyes, so...
I could totally see her playing a sultry Catwoman, for sure.
Yeah. I wonder if she's going to cut her hair short like how it's portrayed in the comics.
I've seen some photos of her with her hair really short. Totally looks like Selena Kyle.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's going to be great. This is really good casting.
So you're excited about the Catwoman casting. Are you excited about the Riddler casting?
Absolutely. Paul Dano is a fantastic actor. I love like all the films I've seen him in. I really liked There Will Be Blood. I really liked Swiss Army Boy. He's been in so many good roles. And he's just really good at playing like these sniveling kind of like creepy characters.
Yeah. I mean, I was really hoping that it would be Eddie Redmayne, and I still think that would be a better casting choice than this. But I can't fault this casting choice because it seems pretty spot on. He has just really intelligent features, and I think he can convincingly portray a psychotic, brilliant madman.
Now, there's so many different depictions of the Riddler.
Yeah.
Like from the comics across all forms of media. You have like the Jim Carrey Riddler.
Yeah.
You have like the cool Riddler that they have in the comics right now under Rebirth.
Cool
He has like
Riddler?
sideburns and stuff and like tattoos. He's supposed to be like,
Interesting.
Cool.
But he's always been lanky. I wouldn't say that Paul Dano is necessarily lanky, at least not more lanky than Eddie Redmayne. But again, this is the next best choice you could have gone with, and I'm entirely satisfied with it.
One of my favorite versions of the Riddler is from the Arkham City games, the Arkham Asylum games, where he's just like so insecure and annoying, and he just, he's taunting you all the time. I hope he's like that, like Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Creates these elaborate death traps.
Yeah. If you guys haven't listened to our Riddler versus Arcade duel episode, definitely check that one out after you listen to this episode, because I think that's one of the more enjoyable matchups that we've done. The Riddler is just a great character.
Yeah, he is. Of course, Jonah Hill is out of the running for the Penguin.
Yeah, that sucks, because I was really hoping that he would get that role, because he's a fantastic actor, and he looks Penguin-esque.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about what actors they're looking for, because it was rumored that Seth Rogen was also in the running for the Penguin, and I'm like, no, he's way too tall.
Well, Jonah Hill has ventured out into more serious fare, getting a number of Oscar nominations for his work in Moneyball and Wolf of Wall Street. But Seth Rogen, I think the most serious role he's had was in Observe and Report, I think. And even that was a comedy.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine Seth Rogen in a serious role.
Ultimately, I think Warner Brothers just didn't want to pay Jonah Hill what he wanted for the role.
Yeah, and they should have. I think it would have added some clout to the cast.
But again, I don't think he even wanted to be the Penguin. I think he wanted to be the Riddler.
Oh, really?
So, this is a pretty quick turnaround on that role.
Oh, interesting.
But this brings us to our question of the week. Who would you cast as the Penguin?
Yeah, pretty simple question this week, but looking forward to hearing the answers that you guys have.
Post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media.
In other news, the president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, who is the guy that oversees and produces all of the MCU films, he has been promoted to the chief creative officer of Marvel Entertainment. So he's an executive of all of Marvel now, overseeing all of the creative talent, including all the work that gets put into the films and all of the television shows. And the television shows were once under Ike Perlmutter, who is the CEO of Marvel Entertainment. But now all of that is going to be overseen by Kevin Feige, and I guess Jeff Loeb is just out of a job.
Maybe, or Jeff Loeb will report to Kevin Feige, which is not a bad position to be in.
Right. The comic books, in terms of the creative talent involved there, are also going to be reporting under Feige as well. Actually, they're going to report to Dan Buckley, who now reports to Kevin Feige. I guess the main reason this is so exciting is because Kevin Feige can do no wrong. If he can bring the same creative genius that he brings to the studios over to the comic books, where, they've been making questionable decision after questionable decision for a while now, it's just going to be fantastic. I'll be really interested in seeing what the future holds specifically for the publishing division of Marvel. But one of the things that Kevin Feige won't be in charge of course, is the Sony universe of Marvel characters. Those series of films that are being produced by Sony in the Spider-Man universe. Well, one of those films is Venom 2, which is coming out next year. We received word that Naomie Harris has been cast as Shriek. So she will be joining Woody Harrelson's Carnage as kind of like a team up of bad guys in the Venom sequel. Now, Shriek in the comics has always been known as kind of Carnage's girlfriend, in a sense, I guess. She is a mutant that has the ability to shoot sound waves.
Wait.
Yeah, obviously, she's not going to be a mutant in this Venom movie. It's possible that since Carnage is the offspring of Venom, Carnage may be creating his own offspring, and that results in Shriek. Although that won't quite make sense, considering that Shriek has the ability to shoot sound waves, and symbiotes are weak to sound waves.
Man, if she is a mutant, that would be sort of like the first mutant in the post-Fox X-Men universe world.
The fact that they're even using Shriek here is kind of surprising.
She must have had her first appearance in a Spider-Man comic for them to be using her.
Actually, yeah, her first appearance was in Spider-Man Unlimited #1, so she is considered underneath that Spider-Man universe umbrella.
There you go.
She always resembled Domino to me in the comics, so I always kind of got the characters confused for a while, but they have completely different power sets. What do you think of the idea of Venom 2 having two villains?
I'm actually not surprised, considering that a symbiote was the villain of the first movie. They probably want to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, they had to find a way to make a Venom Carnage fight feel different than the Venom Riot fight from the first film. That's true. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I really like Naomie Harris. She's a great actress. I love her as Moneypenny in the new Bond films, so looking forward to her playing Shriek.
In our last bit of news, I just want to touch on the Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans direct-to-video sequel to the Teen Titans Go to the Movies from last year.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Crisis on Infinite Earths, but with Teen Titans Go. The animation quality is a lot more like the TV show and less like the feature film, but it's still pretty good. There's less musical numbers, which was kind of sad.
Thank God.
I loved the musical numbers in the feature
did you?
film. Yeah, I thought they were really good. The story involves stopping Trigons from the Teen Titans Go universe and the Teen Titans universe from taking over the multiverse. And we get to see dozens of different versions of the Titans, including like ones from the DC movie universe, like what Wonder Woman Bloodlines takes place in, like those Titans.
Okay.
And also a Disney, like Steamboat Willie kind of version of the Titans and stuff like that.
What about the Titans from the Titans television show on DC Universe?
No, they didn't. It was all animated.
Okay.
Yeah. The film wasn't as funny and it wasn't as well made, but the action was a lot better than Teen Titans Go to the movies. And there were a ton of gags and references to how like all the hardcore fans prefer the original Teen Titans show to Teen Titans Go. But if you're a fan of either, I would recommend that you definitely check it out. It's a good time to be had by all.
Nice. Well, I mean, we didn't review it here, but it was good to get your thoughts.
We gave Teen Titans Go to the movies 3 stars when we reviewed it. I think I would give the sequel 3.5 stars.
Okay, that's decent. But I think that does it for all of the news for this episode, so let's go ahead and get into our main event, where we discuss the animated film Wonder Woman Bloodlines.
Okay, so Wonder Woman Bloodlines came out on October 5th on digital, and it comes out today on Blu-ray. By my count, this is the 15th film in the DC animated movie universe after Reign of Superman and Batman Hush. I think this is the first time that the Trinity each get their own animated film in the same year, like ever.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The animation in these films is pretty cheap, but overall, this is a pretty good film that starts off pretty meh, but gets better with each new act. Spoiler alert, the end battle is freaking crazy.
It is. It's really good. It kind of makes this whole movie. Because like you, I started watching this film and I was like, I'd rather just be watching the live action version with Gal Gadot, because that's just a much better version of this movie.
Yeah.
But then the third act really dials everything up to 11 and really made this movie worth watching, I think.
For sure.
So if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available on all platforms and DVD at this moment, so go ahead and check it out before probably listening to this review, if you don't want to spoil things for yourself.
Right. Now, I'm a pretty big fan of the 2009 animated Wonder Woman film with the voice work from Kerry Russell, Nathan Fillion, and Alfred Molina. Do you remember that one?
No, I never watched that one.
What? That was a really good introduction to the character and like the whole mythological world she inhabits. For like a long time, I really wished that Warner Brothers would have just made a live action version of that exact film. Because it was just that good. Now, Bloodlines is Wonder Woman's first solo animated film since that one from 2009. And I was curious to see how they would handle her origin in this post New 52 and her live action film world, in regards to whether they'd make her a clay-forged Amazon or a demigod daughter of Zeus.
Yeah.
So interestingly, they kind of brushed past her origin in this film and got her off of Themyscira pretty quickly. If it wasn't for the introduction of the purple healing ray and the sword fight between Diana and her mother, Queen Hippolyta, you probably could have started the film with Diana meeting the Capitellus family. The fight between Diana and Hippolyta was important, however, because it set up the mother dynamic themes of the film. Both Diana and the character of Vanessa Capitellus live in their mother's shadows under the gaze of their judgment. And I think that's something a lot of women can relate to. Like my wife did, at least. She loved this film a lot more than the Death of Superman movies and the Flashpoint Paradox.
Yeah.
Like watching her tear up at parts in this film actually made me tear up.
Tear up at what parts?
Like the end when Queen Hippolyta says, like, you are a true Amazon to Diana.
Okay. I guess that was sad.
It was beautiful. Okay. The whole movie is kind of a retelling of the prodigal son. Not that Diana is a prodigal or a son, but she left home against her mother's wishes and was told she could never return. Quick side note. I liked that they established the fact that once Diana left, her mind would forget the location of Themyscira. It's a concept borrowed from Greg Rucka's Rebirth era run in the Wonder Woman comics, and it makes a good case for why Wonder Woman wouldn't just live in Themyscira.
Right.
In the Wonder Woman live-action film, Hippolyta tells Diana that if she leaves Themyscira, she could never return, but they never say why.
Yeah.
Like, after she defeated Ares, shouldn't she have just gone back home? At least in this movie, there's a reason why she can't go back, and it results in a tangible goal for Diana as compared to simply wanting to make the world better.
I liked that they introduced the concept of Diana forgetting the location of the island Paradise. I don't like the concept that Themyscira could be found with satellite imagery.
And fish.
That was fucking stupid.
I don't know. It was a clever way to find it, I think.
I would still think that the island would have some kind of cloaking protection from space cameras, I would hope. You know, it's cloaked magically. It's cloaked from everything. Not just from eyes, but from technology.
Yeah, my favorite version of Themyscira from the comics is actually like a floating island. Like it floats over the water. Sort of like something from Avatar or something like that. It's not an actual island. So you wouldn't be able to tell from like the topographic ocean floor that there's something there.
Interesting.
Now, they say that once you leave home, you can never go back again. And Diana certainly believed that. She felt guilty that her mom and the Amazons hated her for leaving and stealing their sacred armor. But this whole film is essentially Diana learning the same lesson of the prodigal son, that when you have someone who cares for you, if you let go of your pride and guilt, the chances are in your favor that they'll accept you with open arms. The film has this great heartfelt message, but at the end of the day, I think it's safe to say that this is an action film. Wonder Woman goes up, essentially, against her own version of the Sinister Six, which in her comics is known as Villainy Inc. We have Dr. Poison, Dr. Cyber, Giganta, Cheetah, Silver Swan, Medusa, and Veronica Cale. And you might even be able to throw in, like, the Minotaur and her mother, Queen Hippolyta, as, like, adversaries in this film.
Oh, is the Minotaur a Wonder Woman villain from the comics?
She's fought a Minotaur before, but Ferdinand is actually a character from the comics.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot of people are familiar with Wonder Woman's villains, so it was cool to see the writers squeeze all of them into one film, though I will admit, outside of Silver Swan and maybe Veronica Cale, we didn't get much in the way of character development for the villains. So much of their plans and goals are like a mystery in the film, and it's hard for Wonder Woman's character to not just be reactionary to what the villains are doing, and that makes her character suffer a little bit.
I liked seeing all the villains, though. I thought they were all great characters, being that I'm not too familiar with Wonder Woman's rogues gallery. I thought all of them provided a big enough threat, and I thought they all kind of fit together well thematically, as the best rogues galleries do. Yeah, the villains were definitely a plus in this film. I think the elements that it took from the live-action movie were also a plus. I think what this movie didn't do well, though, was build the character of Diana. She was fairly robotic during the whole course of this movie, and that's not just Rosario Dawson's fault. I think the character was written largely without a personality, and I'm not sure why. It just makes me appreciate Gal Gadot's take on the character a lot more, because she definitely was not lacking character like this one was.
No.
Luckily, the film was able to compensate for that, mostly in the third act, through the high-octane action that it was able to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the film as a whole, I thought Rosario Dawson's performance got better over the course of the film. Her performance, I agree, was a little wooden at the beginning, as was the animation.
Yeah.
Like, the Amazon characters were a little too rigid and expressionless. Like, Rosario Dawson has a good, strong voice. You know, she was the voice of Artemis in the 2009 animated Wonder Woman film. But
oh, really?
she isn't always, like, the best at selling some of her lines. And it's been that case throughout the entire line of this DC animated movie universe.
Her character is good in spurts. From what I've seen her in these other animated films when she's part of the Justice League, I thought she was fine. But here, now that she, is starring in her own movie and she has to carry this performance over the course of an emotional arc and a 2-hour runtime, it really doesn't hold up as well as I would like it to. I wish that her take on the character was a little bit more compassionate. Like, in my head, there's no version of Wonder Woman that could live in this household where the daughter that lives there grows up to be this goth, angst-ridden villain.
She wouldn't let that happen.
Exactly. So that kind of threw me off. Wonder Woman, she should be caring. That's her primary thing. She helps people out because she cares. She would see this struggling teenage girl living in the house that she's living in, and she would not ignore the troubles that Vanessa Capitalis was going through in this movie.
I don't think she ignored them. I just think that she couldn't relate to them, and she wasn't aware of them because of that.
I mean, in the movie and in the comics, I think Diana is always portrayed as fairly naive when first entering man's world. You know, that changes fairly quickly. And here she was naive. But although Wonder Woman is naive at this stage in her superhero career, she's not stupid. And I think that whole aspect of the story made her seem stupid.
Especially if she's been living with the family for years, like she did in this film.
Yeah.
I could totally see your argument there.
Why did Wonder Woman have to live with this archaeologist family for years before she decided to venture out and fight crime as a superhero? That was kind of like a departure from the origin that didn't sit well with me either.
It was interesting. I thought she had started her superhero career right when she got to Man's World.
Right.
But it wasn't, it wasn't for years until she began.
And at that point, when she felt she was ready, she fashioned her own costume, even though she already had a superhero costume. She left Themyscira with it.
Well, that was the costume of the Amazon's champion. And I don't think she felt worthy to wear that costume since she wasn't officially ordained as their champion.
But she felt worthy enough to wear it as she fought Medusa.
Because she was returning home.
Dressed as their champion, even though she didn't earn it?
Maybe she was just returning the armor back. I don't know. But what's interesting is that they may have just kind of messed up their continuity because in the Justice League War film, she's acting like she's experiencing Man's World for the first time. She's tasting ice cream for the first time. And it's like, you lived with two women for years and you didn't eat ice cream? I don't know if I believe that.
Well, I'm assuming that Wonder Woman decides to live with the Capitalis family after the events where she fought the Parademons and Darkseid. Because that's where the film starts. We see Steve Trevor's plane get attacked by Parademons. Wonder Woman rescues him and ventures into Man's World to help fight Darkseid.
Right. But it says in the film that was 5 years ago.
Right.
So I think at the start of this film, the Darkseid War happened maybe 2-3 years ago. So the first wave that came that I think attacked Steve Trevor, that must have been some like scout or something like that.
Okay.
Scout crew.
Interesting.
Speaking of Steve Trevor, he was voiced by Jeffrey Donovan, who took over the role from George Newbern in the last DC Animated Universe movies. And I'm not sure why. George Newbern also did the voice of Superman in like the Justice League cartoons and stuff like that. I think Jeffrey Donovan did fine in the role though. Like his Steve Trevor is essentially Wonder Woman's Lois Lane. So it's always interesting to see how they're going to incorporate him in the action scenes since he's a soldier and since Wonder Woman is so much more capable than him.
Yeah.
They gave him enough henchmen and minotaurs for him to like hold his own, but what he really brought to the film was comic relief. Or at least he tried to. Some of his jokes were so bad, like the whole, oh, she's the goddess of pacifiers. I was just like, why even put that in the film? Like, you're trying too hard.
Yeah. The whole relationship dynamic that he had with Diana was interesting because it seems like although they met many years ago, the romantic relationship was just starting. Because I think that previously in this continuity, she was mainly paired up with Superman.
Yes, yeah. As it was in the New 52 comics.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that Superman hooked up with Lois Lane.
Right.
Now, I'm not too familiar with the comics, so I don't know the particulars of the relationship from the source material, but here it appeared as though Steve Trevor was kind of Wonder Woman's handler on behalf of the United States government.
Yes. Yeah, that's what he was in the New 52.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he worked alongside, like, Amanda Waller. He's a government agent.
Okay, I wasn't sure how I felt about that at first, but if it's from the comics, then it works here.
Moving on to Silver Swan / Vanessa Capitalis. She was voiced by Marie Avgeropoulos, who did a pretty good job with Vanessa's voice through her different ages and stages of becoming Silver Swan.
She did, yeah. She sounded very teenagery when she was a teenager. She felt very adult when she was an adult, but she pulled off both the sympathetic aspects and the villainous aspects well.
Yeah. I've always liked Silver Swan as a Wonder Woman villain, not because of her design, which I actually think is pretty terrible in the film and in the comics. Yeah, I just don't like it.
It reminds me of Archangel from the X-Men.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I like her because of her familial relationship to Diana and her tragic turn as a villain. Like, typically, my favorite Wonder Woman villains come from Greek mythology. Like, personally, I'd rather see Wonder Woman fight a Minotaur or a Gorgon over a humanoid cheetah or someone like Dr. Cyber. But it's easy to relate to the character of Vanessa, and it's easy to see, especially in this film, how Diana kind of unintentionally ruined her life. It's hard to compete with perfection, especially in the eyes of someone who expects perfection from you, like Vanessa's mom, Julia.
Yeah.
You know, when Diana tells Vanessa that she wants to make the whole world better, then asks Vanessa what she wants, like, how is Vanessa supposed to respond to that, especially as a 16-year-old?
Yeah.
Vanessa didn't know what she wanted, other than she wanted to be something, anything other than her mother. And it was kind of nice foreshadowing to the fact that she would become something different. And it was believable motivation for why she stole Veronica Cale's artifact. You know, despite her best efforts, Vanessa had become an archaeologist like her mom, working for Veronica Cale like her mom. She just wanted to get some money to get away. And when she tried to exert some independence and willingly, you know, make a mistake, do something that she knew her mom wouldn't approve of, you know, Little Miss Perfect Wonder Woman got involved to save her, and Vanessa's mom died. It's a good villain story.
Yeah, how does that compare to Silver Swan's origin in the comics? Like, she didn't grow up with Wonder Woman in the comics, right?
No, she did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty on point with the comics.
I keep thinking that this movie made all these changes, and they really didn't.
No, this was established, I think, by George Perez in his 80s run of Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Silver Swan was created by George Perez. But I think the idea that Silver Swan was a cyborg created by Veronica Cale, I think that's a rebirth aspect of the character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not even New 52?
No, rebirth, yeah.
Interesting. So they're starting to incorporate some of the rebirth elements into these films now.
Yeah.
They're kind of steering out of the New 52 era.
Yeah, definitely. Greg Rucka was a big Wonder Woman writer in the 2000s and recently with Rebirth. And you could see a lot of his ideas present in this film. Like the idea of Wonder Woman losing her memory of where Themyscira is. That's his idea. So Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor, and Silver Swan, I think those are the three main characters of the film. Everyone else is kind of, you know, like a side character or a cameo at best.
What about Etta Candy? I thought she was annoying in this movie.
She was annoying in every movie.
What about Veronica Cale? I don't know much about her, but she seems kind of like Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor.
That's her exactly.
Oh, really?
Yes. I thought the voice actress who did her voice did a really good job
I thought so as well.
with Veronica Cale.
Do you know who it was?
Yeah, her name is Constance Zimmer. She's a television actress, essentially. She was like in House of Cards, Entourage. They definitely set her character up as like a villain for potential future Wonder Woman animated films if they make them.
Yeah, and I hope they do. I think this was well set up for a sequel. I actually really enjoyed Veronica Cale's arc in this. Her whole plan, as is revealed in the end credit scene of this movie, was kind of brilliant, how it all tied together.
Did you see that coming?
No.
You didn't know she was a villain?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I knew.
Okay. Well, lucky you. No, I had no idea. I just thought she was this business owner doctor lady who was helping them out.
No.
So at the end, I was like, oh!
In the comics, it's actually Veronica Cale's partner who's like Wonder Woman's friend. Veronica Cale's much more like a villain, like Lex Luthor, like you said.
Yeah. I thought Dr. Cyber was the main villain of the whole thing.
No.
But she turned out to just be a puppet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Cyber is not a real person in the comics. Veronica Cale created her. She's artificial intelligence.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's get into the story highlights. So the opening scenes move incredibly fast. The film opens right away with a boom tube. Parademons crash Steve Trevor's plane near Themyscira. And before we could even see Diana's reaction to the aliens and what's happening, she rescues Steve, and we see him being healed by the purple ray in the next scene. Steve is imprisoned, and Wonder Woman breaks him out of the Amazonian prison after an implied off-screen conversation with her mother over what she saw and how they needed to help Steve. They didn't show that in the film for some reason.
Yeah, that would have been helpful.
Diana fights her mother during their escape. Hippolyta wins, but still lets her daughter leave with the stolen armor and weapons. And Diana and Steve set sail for Man's World. Diana is introduced to the conflicted Capitellis family, with whom she lives with for years until she finally decides to don a superhero suit and call herself Wonder Woman. And then we get the movie's opening title, almost 20 minutes in. It's a prologue that's about 10 minutes longer than it should be. So after the title, the film jumps forward in time to the current timeline in the DC animated movie universe. We know this because Steve has a beard now, and Wonder Woman is missing the silver hairband that she lost in her fight with Doomsday in the Death of Superman film.
Yeah.
Julia comes to her after finding out Vanessa is stealing from their employer and asks for Diana's help. Vanessa finds out that the buyers for her stolen artifact are Dr. Poison and Dr. Cyber. I guess the artifact was the stone lock of Medusa's hair, which they used to recreate her in the fictional country of Korak. And I thought that was interesting. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. I thought it was just some kind of like magical serpent artifact.
Right. I don't know why you needed both Dr. Poison and Dr. Cyber, honestly. Like, I think you could have just gotten away with Dr. Cyber. But since Dr. Poison was in the live action film, I could see why they wanted to include her.
Yeah.
And she's also a part of Villainy Inc., so that works. She didn't make poisons in this film so much as upgrade serums. So, like the opposite of poison. The serum made Gigantic grow, but even then, like, Wonder Woman made pretty short work of her. Julia died in the scuffle, and Vanessa blamed Wonder Woman. When Steve said there was no way Julia caught a ricochet, I thought for sure Vanessa killed her mom.
That's what I thought.
I'm kind of glad that turned out not to be the case.
Right.
In Vanessa's hatred, she let Dr. Poison and Dr. Cyber turn her into Silver Swan, which allowed DC to get in their requisite nude scene for their animated films.
Did you watch this movie with your daughters?
Yes. I'm not too concerned with butts. They're butts.
Everybody has a butt.
Yeah, everybody has a butt. Butts are like belly buttons. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Silver Swan was spotted in Korak, so Wonder Woman and Steve go there in an invisible jet, which, thank God they got that right. Like, I'm so sick of people thinking it's like Super Friends, where it just looks like Wonder Woman is just flying through the air in a sitting position. You're not supposed to see Wonder Woman at all. That's the whole point.
No, I didn't like how the invisible jet was not magic. It was U.S. military tech.
That's fine.
What's up with that?
It doesn't need to be magic. It just needs to be an invisible jet. Like, the whole point of the jet is stealth. It's not magic or anything like that. It wouldn't make sense for Amazons to have invisible jets. They never left their island.
But it wasn't like a real jet. It was like this invisible flying bird, I thought. Magic bird. I don't know.
No.
I always just assumed it looked like a Greek jet.
What the hell?
Like steampunk, but like way back.
No, for a while in the comics, it was like alien tech.
Yeah.
But even then, like, no. Wonder Woman's like mythological. Give the alien stuff to Superman.
I thought it was like mythological tech.
It's not.
I mean, they kept referring to Amazon tech in this movie.
Yeah. Like the purple healing ray. Or like even their, like the sailboat that they sailed away on.
Yeah.
They had some kind of like globe navigation system.
Exactly.
But it wasn't invisible.
It could have been.
The way they did it in this film was the right way to do it.
Well, kind of like the ships that they had in Thor: The Dark World that the Asgardians were flying around in.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they were like jets. They were like fighter ships, but they looked like Norse Viking boats, Something like that. That would be cool as an invisible jet.
Oh, like a sailboat jet?
Something like that, man. I'm not going to draw some concept art for you. Just use your fucking imagination.
Like the jet, I liked this version of the jet. I hope if they introduce it in Wonder Woman 1984, they do it just like this. It doesn't need to be any kind of magical, mythological, alien, anything. Just make it like experimental U.S. military tech. Like what's in Area 51.
I don't know. I like the mythology magic angle better.
They didn't have jets in ancient Greece.
It doesn't matter.
Moving on. Wonder Woman captures Silver Swan while Dr. Poison escapes with the Medusa prototype. Silver Swan is taken to Veronica Cale to try and find a cure. When they discover they won't be able to find one, Diana realizes that Vanessa's only hope is the purple ray on Themyscira.
The purple healing ray.
It's actually called the purple ray. It does a lot more than heal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's from the comics.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't make that up for the movie. It was actually created by William Moulton Marston, Wonder Woman's creator.
Oh, really?
It's that old.
Okay.
Julia's notes on the whereabouts of the island lead Wonder Woman to the Temple of Pasiphae, where they meet Cheetah, which seemed random to me. Like, the whole scene seemed like an excuse to get a fight scene with Cheetah, who we know is going to be the next live-action Wonder Woman movie villain. Wonder Woman and Cheetah fight for a bit before Cheetah pulls out one of Dr. Poison's super serums, which left me wondering, as I was watching the film, where exactly was she carrying the serum to begin with?
That's right. Cheetah doesn't really have a costume.
Yeah, exactly. The prospects are not flattering, you know?
It was cylindrical.
So once she hulked out into super buff, super fast Cheetah, Wonder Woman gets her onto the invisible jet, and we don't get to see how Cheetah gets defeated or depowered. We just get to see her tied up in the lasso.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cheetah kind of turned into a speedster character when she took the serum. And by trapping her on the invisible jet, she had less room to maneuver and utilize her speed. Wonder Woman was able to use that to her advantage.
That makes sense. I'll buy that. Just wish we could have seen it.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
I mean, it really goes to show, though, why we can never do a Cheetah versus Tigra episode. Because Cheetah is way more powerful than Tigra.
Yeah, she could go toe-to-toe with Wonder Woman.
Right.
So the labyrinth scene was pretty cool. It was pretty clever the way Steve and Etta used the Minotaur to get to the center fountain that was in the middle.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman drinks from the fountain and sees visions of her mom, Vanessa, some fish, and a rod of Asclepius symbol, which was a clever call out to both Medusa because of the snake,
Yeah.
and Veronica Cale as a pharmaceutical magnate.
Oh, I didn't even put that together.
You have to watch it twice.
It's clever.
Like I did.
The symbolism is there.
Yeah. It was cool to see the Minotaur be revealed as Ferdinand, who's, as I mentioned, one of Diana's allies. He's a chef from the comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Veronica Cale helps them locate Themyscira based off of the fish in Diana's vision, and in that same scene, Veronica also points out that the tech making up Vanessa's body comes from her company, and I'm still confused why she would point that out. Like, why did she think Wonder Woman needed to know that?
Well, I mean, it threw me off, not knowing who Veronica Cale is. I was like, oh, that was a helpful little bit of advice. You have a mole in your organization, lady.
And you are the mole. So how does that scene change knowing that she is the mole?
It's a bit of deflection on behalf of people who don't know who she is, like me.
I guess that makes sense, yeah. So Dr. Cyber hacks Veronica's lab and frees Silver Swan, forcing the heroes to flee before the lab blows up. Now, in the same way that Superman changed from his New 52 to his rebirth costume by the end of Reign of the Superman, or the way that Batman got his blue cape and cowl in Batman Hush, Diana also gets a new look by the end of this film when she suits up in the stolen sacred armor of the Amazonian champion before heading off to Themyscira. So Wonder Woman and Steve share a moment where she confesses her guilt for leaving Themyscira the way she did, and she and Steve share a kiss before they arrive to find the island already under attack.
Yeah, this is where the movie actually gets really good. I loved this movie once they arrive back on Themyscira.
I think once she puts on the armor, then it becomes like,
aw, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as Diana engages in an aerial battle with Silver Swan, which I'm still trying to figure out how Silver Swan was able to see the invisible jet.
Well, she has tech, so she might have, like, technology eyes.
Don't make excuses for her. Dr. Poison and Dr. Cyber unveil their ultimate weapon, Medusa, which was a huge surprise, and who turns on her creators before taking Dr. Poison's super serum, which makes her both bigger like Giganta and more animal-like, like Cheetah.
Medusa was sweet. I never knew that the character was a Wonder Woman villain. She's one of the coolest characters from Greek mythology, and I just love how powerful she was. Just turning everybody to stone and killing everybody else that she didn't turn to stone. It was amazing.
It was crazy. This end battle between Giant Medusa and Wonder Woman was insane. They say that by the third act in a film, the worst possible thing that could happen, what the audience fears would happen, needs to happen. And it's hard to think of what else could have gone wrong for Diana here other than actual death.
Right.
Like Steve and her Amazonian sisters were turned to stone, and she was blinded and just beaten to hell.
She blinded herself so that she could fight Medusa, which is the coolest concept in the world. I mean, she could have done what Perseus did in mythology, I think, which was use a mirror.
Yeah.
But she didn't have one. So she did like the most hardcore thing that she could possibly do, which is blind herself. And so she was fighting Medusa based on, you know, her other senses alone.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I thought that was such a cool concept.
And that's also from the comics.
Really?
She had to do that to defeat Medusa in the same way.
Ah, that's so cool.
Yeah. And when Medusa's snake hair like bit Wonder Woman in the arm and left her with like those big holes, I was like, damn.
Yeah, she was like bleeding all over her body, and she was blind, and she was struggling to fight Medusa. It was one of those battles where you wonder, how can the hero possibly overcome this?
Yeah.
And when they do, it's just that much more impressive, you know?
Yeah, if Silver Swan didn't have a change of heart, I'm not sure Diana would have made it out of this one alive.
Yeah.
They did like a fastball special at the end, and Wonder Woman cut off Medusa's head.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Everyone was healed by the Purple Ray in the end, and Vanessa was being rehabilitated by the Amazons, and Diana was officially declared their champion, which was nice. I guess Queen Hippolyta also said that she was opening up Themyscira to the world once again.
Yeah, that'll be interesting how it plays out in subsequent DC animated films.
Yeah. So in the mid-credits scene, Wonder Woman confronts Veronica Cale, and Veronica confesses to not only financially backing Dr. Poison and Dr. Cyber, but to killing Julia, which makes me wonder, like, why the hell wasn't Veronica put in jail at the end?
Yeah, Wonder Woman just slammed her sword in her desk and then walked away. She should be taking her to jail for murder.
I'm pretty sure Veronica Cale could eventually get that sword out of the desk.
Yeah.
It's like Wonder Woman's going to come back and be like, whoops, I didn't really mean to leave that there. Just a spur of the moment thing. I need that back.
But it was a cool plan of Veronica's in order to get Amazonian tech. All the steps that it took to get there, including the way she was able to manipulate Wonder Woman into revealing the location of Themyscira and stuff. I thought it was a pretty damn decent plan.
Yeah. Veronica Cale's a really good Wonder Woman villain. I like her a lot. So overall, it's a really good film. Not great. Not as good as the first animated film or the live action film, in my opinion, but still really good.
Yeah, kind of a weird first act, kind of a slow second act, but that third act totally makes up for anything that this film lacks, I think.
And I think because of that, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Almost 4.
That seems about right. I would give the first act is like a 3-star film, the second act is like a 3.5-star film, and the fourth act is like 4 stars. So if you average it all out, yeah, overall, 3.5 stars.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention about this film is if you get the Blu-ray version or the digital version, there's a DC Showcase short that comes with the film. This is the first one that DC has done in quite a long time, and they did it on Death of the Endless.
From the Sandman series?
Yes. It is the best showcase that they've ever done. I don't want to spoil it because I'm sure you haven't seen it, and I'm sure a lot of other people haven't as well, but definitely check it out. It's really good.
Well, I guess that does it for this review. Go ahead and let us know what you guys thought about Wonder Woman Bloodlines by writing into us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter by searching for Dynamic Duel Podcast on those platforms.
And you can find links to all of our social media accounts on our website, dynamicduel.com, where you can also find a link to our merchandise store, which is on TeePublic. And you can get a variety of cell phone cases and pillows and notebooks and t-shirts. Mainly t-shirts with our no prize artwork on them.
Who are you drawing for this week's no prize art?
Donna Troy.
Okay, cool.
Just to tie into the last episode.
Yeah.
Please don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review our podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on, especially iTunes, though. If you're listening there and you haven't given us a rating yet, please do that. Once again, we're trying to get to 200 ratings.
Yeah, we're so close. Don't forget to check out the show notes and click on the link to Amazon.com to check out your fellow listener CJ Kraft's new book, 3 Tales, Pages of Terror. It's great for Halloween. I highly recommend it. He did a great job with the stories. Again, check out the URL in our show notes. Big thanks to executive producers of the show, Bodo Winter and John Spees. And that does it for this episode. In our next episode, we will be reviewing Blade 2, and that'll be our big Halloween review.
Yeah, I can't wait. Actually, really like that film.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, until then, up and away.
True believers.